This is an eukaryotic organism that lack of chloroplast, so it is non-photosynthetic. It is because fungi are not capable of photosynthesis. They are heterotrophic because they use complex organic compounds as sources of energy and carbon. Fungi release digestive enzymes that are used to metabolize complex organic compounds into soluble nutrients such as simple sugar, nitrates, and phosphates. Fungi stores carbohydrate as glycogen, and most of fungi species are haploid.
Next, a characteristic of fungi is fungi may reproduce asexually and sexually. Both types of reproduction will result in production of spores. The spores are non-motile and they are dispersed by wind. About life cycle of fungi, for asexual reproduction, a haploid mycelium will form asexual spores through mitosis. Each spores on germination will give rise to a haploid mycelium. Haploid means the nucleus of the mycelium cells contain only half the number of chromosomes, which is indicated as N. The important things to know about asexual reproduction is the offspring produced through asexual reproduction are genetically similar to the parent, but the spores cannot withstand unfavorable conditions like it is dry, so fungi will go for sexual reproduction. For sexual reproduction, the offspring are genetically different from their parents. Some of them may be better adapted to those unfavorable conditions and grow well than their parents. There is two genetically haploid mycelium. Two different mycelia fuse to form a heterokaryotic cells with two or more nuclei, and this step called plasmogamy. Next step in sexual reproduction of fungi is karyogamy, that is fusion of two nuclei leading to the formation of zygote. Karyo is actually refers to nucleus and gamy means fusion. The zygote represents the diploid stage in the life cycle of fungi, which means it contains full set of chromosomes and indicate as 2N. After the zygote is formed, it will undergo a meiosis division leading to the formation of haploid sexual spores. Lastly, the spores will be germinated into mycelium, but they will be genetically different from both parents.
The last characteristic of a fungi is the body of a fungus is composed of tiny filaments called hyphae. Essentially, hyphae, or in the singular, hypha, are the long tubular branching structures produced by fungi. However, they can also be found in a number of other organisms such as oocytes. Hyphae in fungi vary in structures and their functions can be differ from one species to another. Hyphae exhibit apical growth and branch to form a network of hyphae called a mycelium, or in a plural, mycelia. The protoplasm of a hypha is surrounded by a rigid wall composed of chitin and glucans. Some hyphae are divided by cross walls called septa, or in the singular, septum. There are two types of hypha and mycelium of fungi. The first one is septate hypha and the second one is coinocytic hypha. There are some ways to differ these two types of hypha. The first one is septate hypha. It's a hyphae with septa, and the second one is coinocytic hypha. It's a hyphae without septa. Septate hypha has septum that has pores, allow the movement of cytoplasm and organelles from segment to segment. And the second one is coinocytic hypha, consists of a continuous cytoplasmic mass with 100 or 1,000 of nuclei.
Phylum Zycomycota. Zycomycota or zygote fungi is a former division or phylum of the kingdom fungi. They are commonly known as common mold or sporangium fungi. Many refer to zycomycete hyphae as non-septate because they don't have true septa with pores. They are one continuous cell. How zycomycetes reproduce? There are two types of reproduction for zycomycetes. Firstly is asexual and second is sexual. For asexual, it happens by producing sporangiospore within special sac. Sporangia are the black capsules that rises on the braid that produced during asexual reproduction. The fungus consists of a network filament called hyphae that penetrates bread and absorbs nutrients. So for the sexual reproduction, it results in sexual spores called zygospores, which are contained within the zygosporangium, which is a unique characteristic of this phylum. From the image, you can see the sporangiospore with sporangia at their tips germinate from the zygospore.
Phylum Ascomycota is actually a subset of kingdom fungi, commonly known as sac fungi because their sexual spores, called ascospores, are produced in a sac or ascus. Common examples of ascomycetes include yeast, cup fungi, truffles, and morels. One characteristic of phylum Ascomycota is vegetative hyphae are septate with perforated walls and one haploid nucleus per cell. Asexually produced by conidia, which is called conidium for singular. Conidia are produced externally at the tips of modified hyphae called conidiophores. Conidia are multinucleated spores. Yeast is one of example of asexual reproduction by budding or cell fission. Sexual reproduction of phylum Ascomycota involve the formation of ascus, which is plural SG, and a sac-like structure that is a characteristic of this phylum.
Fungi can be classified into three, and the last one is phylum Basidiomycota. Basidiomycota is one of two large divisions that, together with Ascomycota, constitute the subkingdom Bicaria within the kingdom fungi. The members of the phylum Basidiomycota are called basidiomycetes. This includes mushrooms such as bracket fungi, puffballs, stinghorns, chef fungi, jelly fungi, smas, and rust. Phylum Basidiomycota also often called club fungi because it produces basidia, which is small club-like reproductive structures. This, for example, mushrooms is a filamentous fungi that form fruiting bodies. Phylum Basidiomycota seldom reproduce sexually and always reproduce sexually by forming basidiospores in basidium. This basidium can be found in lining gills inside basidiocarp. Basidiocarp consists of a stalk and a cap of pillars. These rows of gills that radiate out from the center. Each gill lined by thousands of eukaryotic basidia that contain two nuclei. Two nuclei fuse to form zygote each basidium, and zygote undergoes meiosis. And as the result of this meiosis, 4 nuclei was formed that developed into 4 basidiospores.
Next, the importance of fungi. Fungi act as a decomposer. Fungi play an important ecological role in the decomposition of dead plants, animals, and other organisms. They break down organic materials and release large amount of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Nitrogen and other important nutrients will be recycled within the ecosystem for use by plants and other organisms.
Symbiont is one of importance of fungi. In fact, symbiont is an organism that living in a state of symbiosis. There are two kinds of symbionts, which is mutualism and commensalism. Example of mutualism is lichens and mycorrhiza. Lichens are mutual relationships between fungi and green algae or cyanobacteria. Both organisms get benefit, which is algae make food and fungi supply moisture, shelter, and anchorage. Symbiotic association of a fungus living on plant roots called mycorrhiza. Most plants have mycorrhiza on their roots. It is actually mutualism because fungus will absorb sugars made by plants, while plant will absorb more water and mineral with aid of the fungus.
The next importance of fungi is fungi can be added as pathogens. Not every fungi is good, and some fungi are parasitic. They have specialized tissues called hostoria, which penetrate the host body. Parasitic fungi can cause diseases that afflict agricultural plants, for example, corn smut and black stem rust of wheat. We can also see some black spots and white spots on the plants, and this was caused by the fungi itself. And even humans can be parasitized by fungi, which causes diseases. Some of the examples are athlete's foot and ringworm. The next importance of fungi is fungi has been commercially used in food production. For example, Rhizopus allegosporus have been used in making tempeh, which is one of the food that we regularly consume in our daily life. Cheeses such as Roquefort and Blue have fungal colonies which give distinctive flavors, aroma, and taste. The next one is most mushrooms are edible and can be used in dishes. Sometimes we need to be careful when choosing mushrooms as some of them are poisonous and can endanger ourselves if we eat the wrong mushrooms. Last but not least, yeast produce ethyl alcohol and carbon dioxide from sugar through fermentation. This can be exploited to make wine, beer, and other fermented beverages.
Penicillium notatum produces penicillin, which is most widely used and effective antibiotic. Other drugs derived from fungi include the antibiotic. Example of drugs derived from fungi: first, griseofulvin is used clinically to inhibit the growth of fungi. Next, statin is used to lower blood cholesterol levels. Lastly, cyclosporine is used to suppress immune responses in patients who receive organ transplants.